Good evening, everybody. What's going on? It's John over here, John D. Villarreal. The super genius is live again. And sorry about the timing there. New tech, working with it, trying to get everything together, and hopefully it's better than ever. I'm very excited about this. Let's see here. Let me try to get everything going here. I've got the chat. We are live right now, live to LinkedIn, live to Facebook, and live to YouTube. So much to talk about. And, I really want to keep it positive. I want to keep it chill. So much to talk about. And let's lay it out. So step one is, okay, I have to do a little bit of an I told you so. Steve, what's going on? How are you doing? Good to see you. What's up? And look, I'm going to talk about a lot of things here. Okay. And first of all, let's set the table because there's just a tremendous amount to cover, but this all relates. This all relates, in my opinion. This is what I have been talking about for so long. It's not even funny, okay? And things I knew instinctually, things that I just could feel, things I was trying to explain. And I told you so, in my opinion. If you look at the arc of my videos and discussions and posts about Miamitech, about what's going on, about, what the deal was. Here's the thing, and just follow me for a bit here. You have to stay with this. Because it all relates. Here's the super highlights, and then we're going to dive into it. Number one, I thought it was just so weird, right? Because I had spent a long time in Silicon Valley, right? I was a lawyer in Silicon Valley. I did some venture capital work in Silicon Valley. I did all kinds of stuff with startups. I knew people. I've met some of the best of the best, and I could talk about that in other videos. And I heard this Miamitech stuff, and it just was so weird to me that like politicians were pushing this, were kind of, in my opinion, perhaps leading this. And first of all, I have to say everything I'm saying is all my personal opinion only, not alleging facts, not casting any aspersions, all for entertainment purpose only. I'm also talking about, to the best of my knowledge, public figures, etc. I just thought it was just super weird that you had, like, I can understand, like, maybe an occasional event or some good words from like a politician. I get it. I get that. But just to have this constant drumbeat, constant stuff of like, it almost, when I'm talking to people, I was talking to people in the tech community. I was talking to people in venture capital. I was meeting with people and they were like, oh, hey, how do I get to see this politician? How do I, like they had the keys to the whole tech kingdom down there. And it was just like, or VC, it was like, this is super weird. Like, I don't know. I can't tell you now or ever the mayor of Palo Alto. No disrespect. I can't even tell you the mayor of San Jose. I mean, the mayor of Foster City, the mayor of Mountain View. I can't tell you. I mean, are you kidding me? It's like, let alone the various, I know you have Zoe Lofgren down there, Mocha Hunt, I know Roe, and Congress people, and they're great. And I mean, I'm not obviously, I have different, politics, whatever like that. But I mean, and I'm not commenting on that, but I'm just saying like I have nothing against anybody is what I'm trying to say there. Let me revise and extend those remarks. Okay. And it's great when politicians support like generically tech, venture capital, entrepreneurship, all that. That's awesome. Like government should hopefully get out of the way, in my opinion, and all that. I didn't have a problem with the, for lack of a better word, the hype train, if you will. Okay. I didn't have a problem with that necessarily, but in terms of promotion, but it was just so extreme, in my opinion. And this is not me punking out anybody else. This is not like settling scores or anything like that. It's not negativity. It's reality. Okay. Reality finally hit this week. Reality hit the last couple of weeks. And there's a lot to talk about. And you think, hey, John, I thought you were going to talk about Twitter files. Hey, John, I thought you were going to talk about I'm going to talk about all of it. And in my opinion, it all relates. And I knew it all related, but I couldn't like totally verbalize that. That's the super genius in me. Like I was way ahead of the game. What have I told you? in my opinion, I'm so good at like future casting and business models and just seeing where things are going to go. So not obviously to the extent that like, that I can have it all figured out or I'd be retired by now, but I'm pretty darn good. Right. I mean, I'm pretty sharp. And I knew this all related, and I knew it was just super weird, right? So on the one hand, you had these politicians, then you had the academics. Yeah, they were all with it. Yeah. So people from like, and again, I don't want to like I don't want to make this personal, but you just don't have a Stanford, Berkeley, Harvard, MIT down in South Florida. And that's no diss. I mean, and I also say that something means nothing, right? So they were doing something and they were doing a lot of stuff, and that's cool. And, it is what it is. But when you have these schools that just, academics that, in my opinion, weren't on the map, still aren't on the map, schools that weren't on the map, still aren't really on the map. And that, again, I don't want to be negative. I'm not trying to, but okay. Let's say this. The people in South Florida are great. I love everybody. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the hustle. I appreciate all that. But what were the claims? And we're going to get this Washington Post article here in a second. The claims were capital of crypto. We're going to take over. It was the implication was they're taking over everything. Forget Silicon Valley. That's over with. Forget NYC. That's over with. Harvard, Stanford, well, we don't need that. Berkeley, whatever. It's like, what? And then I tried it, so I'll make this a little bit personal. When I tried repeatedly to engage, to help. Hey, let me give you some advice. Hey, how can I help? How can I help? Oh, no, John. Oh, yeah, we got it. Hey, John. Who's this? Who's this guy? This guy's okay. I'm just a guy that met Sam Colella. I'm just a guy that met Mike Moritz. I'm just a guy that met people from people from Intel. I'm just a guy that met people from Venrock. I'm just a guy that worked for Mario Rosati. I'm just a guy that was right there at when I knew the general counsel of Google. I was right there when things were starting. I'm just a guy that was on ZDTV. I'm just a guy that met Nolan Bushnell and interviewed him, the founder of Atari. I can go on and on and on and on and on and on. I'm that guy. But this guy, we don't need him. We got it figured out in the 305. We got it on lock. It's done, dude. This is Web 3. Wait a minute. Who are you? We got a bunch of NFT. We got a bunch of digital things here. We got the sand. Yeah, it's all about the narrative. Oh yeah. So wow. Okay. So you had dudes that were like, that they're all about like flying planes and hockey and whatever is going on there, and which is great. Okay, cool. And you had other people that were like, I guess they're supposed to be running a city and campaigns, and then you had other dudes that were like, I don't know what they were doing at some university that I would never have heard of if I wasn't in Florida. And I'm not trying to be a punk. But you're stepping up and talking like you're world class? Like you're going to take over tech? I've been there. Again, I'll rifle on down through it. Trip Hawkins. Dude, Cisco, Chambers. On and on and on. What are you talking about? Okay, cool. You had Dylan Asperov and some people, post up there in the 305. That's great. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And what's funny is I knew some other people that were huge names you never even talked about because they were on the DL, bro. Potentially, in my opinion. It's like you think what you don't know. Now you know some things a lot better than I do. I'll give you that. But there's so much you have no clue about. But you strutted like you had it all figured out. And then what'd you do? You hitched your wagon to crypto. And I was always super skeptical of crypto for so many reasons. And it just leaned into just so much. It just was extremely risky in my opinion. And what happened? So what? Austin, Texas. Yeah, Austin, Texas is great. Right. That's the other thing. I've been to Austin. I've been to San Diego. I've been to LA, Costa Mesa, or, Orange County. Seattle, on and on and on. I've been to all these tech hubs. I've been there. Boston. I know what I'm saying. I don't know everything. I know a lot of stuff. I know a lot of stuff. And when you have a situation where you don't want the best of Silicon Valley, what Silicon Valley was all about is let's get the best people in here and the best ideas. Forget about politics. It doesn't matter where you came from. Let's get everyone together and let's do some really cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's up. Let's change the world. None of this other stuff matters. The tech matters. The business matters. That's what matters. Winning matters. Doing something very awesome matters. None of this other stuff matters. But then when I was in Miamitech, when I was checking that out, it seemed like all this other stuff was the most important. We're talking about all of our great causes. It's about the cause. I'm down for the cause. And I know this person, and the cause and the person and this and I'm in the cool kids club and I've got my newsletter. And I mean, when you were having, I just got to go off on this for a little bit because I have to set the table because believe me, it sets everything else up. It sets everything else up. That's why I'm a talk show host. When you had venture pitches in nightclubs, you knew what time it is, in my opinion. You knew what time. It's like, dude, it's like, and it wasn't once, it was like repeatedly. When you had people talking about, I built my dream office and stuff, you know, magic hockey stick, puck, whatever, magic hockey. I mean, you know, pitch comp. I don't know, but I mean, it's just like, what are we doing? What's going on here? What is going on here? And listen, I mean, I can't speak to everybody. I have nothing against anybody. You know, I wish everybody the best, but I was trying to help. And it was basically like a pound sand, in my opinion. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's interesting. Not only do I know a lot, not only have I been there and done it, but I know so many people. And it was like, it was crazy. But how about this? But the point I'm trying to make is everything about this, like, felt wrong because the whole thing about like tech in Florida was, hey, Florida's open for business. Hey, we're fleeing the craziness, in my opinion, from the blue states or whatever. And let's do something cool here because it's sunny and why not? And you've got Ronnie D and it's governor and stuff like that. But then you had a mayor. So let's talk about the politics of it. So you had a mayor in Miami that went against Trump, that went against Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis. And we saw how Governor DeSantis did it in the election recently. And it was like, hey, come on over here. But there was nothing different other than you change zip codes, you change area codes, you change some weather, you change, latitude. Okay. What else is different from the tech thing? And it was like everything. If you were big, it felt to me like if you're a big name, bring money. Oh yeah, it's awesome. What about the other knockoff effects, which we're going to get to? So the next Shark Tank blame, no. I mean, it's just no. I mean, dude, I like Kevin O'Leary. It's great, Mr. Wonderful. The Shark Tank, I like Shark Tank, everything like that. But it's not about my personal belief. It's more. In my opinion, the easiest thing, the hype dramatically exceeded the reality. And you had this movement that ostensibly seemed to be like who's in and who's out, a cool kids club. And it felt very PR, very political, which is exactly the opposite of Silicon Valley. Like totally the opposite. In my opinion, the original Silicon Valley, right? And I wasn't there at the absolute, but I mean, I was there pretty early. I was there for .com 1.0. I was right there. And, everyone says, oh, we can recreate something. We're going to be better than, and nobody does it. I mean, I'm sure there's obviously very successes around the world. Of course, things, move and proliferate and all that type of stuff. But I mean, nobody has come close. The blueprint is out there. And we know what to do. It's not then do it. but you're not doing it. You're not collaborating. It's every little, whether it was this group or that group, the 954 or the 305 or the 561, it was all, here's our buddies, here's our clique. It's all insider. But we're the best. And based on what? Based on what? And the thing is when you have a tech movement that's led by politicians and academics, and what have these academics done on their own besides teaching? Maybe they're great educators. Maybe they're awesome administrators. Maybe they're fantastic. Let's stipulate all of that. But what have you done as a venture capitalist? What have you done as an entrepreneur? I know, yeah, best-selling books and oh yeah, the TED Talks and oh, great. So name me a company that you started that was super successful. The investments you made that really turned out. The VCs and stuff that you've done. How many companies have you mentored? How many M&As have you done? How many IPOs have you done? I'm not talking about that. The other thing that was, what was that called? What was that going for a while? I forget the oh man, I forget what that was. There was the I got to look it up. I can't believe I'm forgetting this right now. That was the other thing, the hot wave of the going public, but it wasn't. It was the what is that? Hold on, I got to look this up because they called it something else for a while, whatever. It was oh man. And then all of a sudden that fell out of favor real quick. Right? That fell out of favor. It was the SPACs. Yeah, the SPACs. Well, what happened to all those? What happened to all of those? Yeah. And again, I'm not making allegations. I'm not claiming anything. I'm not giving anyone advice. Everything you do is at your own risk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. It's just, well, yeah, it could be, Steve. Could be the licensing game. Look, here's the deal. This is the deal. Early stage technology and venture capital, in my opinion, is very difficult. It's very risky. So now you've got politicians and academics that are like pushing and baying the region on that with what experience? Right? And then you go after some of the most risky. You're going after crypto. Which is the genesis of the whole thesis of we're going to create an entirely different, money supply. SPAC. Yes. Umer, my man, what's going on? Oh, you need to call in. Hey, listen, let me know if you want to jump on. I would love to hear you. I would love to hear you on this. We're going to lay it out because it all relates. Everything I was saying, it all comes due right now, in my opinion. You've got to follow with me on this. If you need a link, I'll send you a link on email. You can join in. I'd love to hear from you, brother. Okay. So this is not by any stretch. I want to be super clear. I love the people of Florida. I love the people of South Florida, the people that are involved in this that have been working hard, some of them for years and years, some even of about a decade trying to make it happen. I'm right there with you. I'm all for you. And the reason, I'm saying this because I'm with you, because I know how hard it is. I was there with you trying to do it in 2011, 12, 13, 14, left, came back, trying to do it again. I jumped on it. I wanted to be part of it, but I wanted it to be real because I've seen real. And, if I can mention this, Umer and I were talking, he's done a lot of great stuff and he's been at it and he's been lifelong in the 305 and stuff like that. And then he flew to Austin. He's like, oh my goodness. Now I know what you're talking about, John. I'm like, yeah, try to then go out to Silicon Valley and then we'll talk. Right. And I'm not saying who am I? Right. I've done, it's funny because I'm like I've done a lot, I've seen a lot, and I've almost, maybe I'm like Icarus, right? I flew close to the sun almost. I was almost there. I don't know. Who knows? I never know. Sometimes I think I'm doing amazing things, and sometimes I wonder what I did with my life. But we're doing it. And you know what? Life's about experiences. I've had a lot of great experiences. Okay. So the point is I was always very skeptical, and you're leaning super hard into crypto, which is like, dude, so the Federal Reserve and the governments around the world and the Bank of England and it's all globally are just going to let you set up this entirely different currency. They're going to let you do that. And, all this stuff. Again, I'm all for blockchain, decentralization. There's so many good things to it. And I've taken a great class that was a joint from Berkeley, Stanford, etc. Awesome. all of that. And I still got to get my NFT downloaded from that. But, and it's just phenomenal, right? The technology is phenomenal. But you have to think to yourself, does that make sense? It's like, hey, if I invest in a bunch of tulips, right, at a $5,000 a tulip, whatever, I'm making a figure up. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. And et cetera, et cetera. You know, can I go buy a bridge in New York City? No, I can't. You know, it's like, come on. People have to think for a second. You got to think for a second. And so you all these claims of Web3, if you're not with it, you don't know what's going on, and we're going to roll it. And I'm hearing from these people that if they weren't tied into something, you never would have heard from. And again, it's not about that. It's great. Talk, do whatever you want to do. So I'm not the gatekeeper. But if you want me to take it credibly, it's like, come on. Okay, so let's get to this Washington Post article. I know it seems like a long setup, but I have to set the foundation here. Give me 5 more minutes on this, and we're going right into Twitter files, and we're going right into FTX, or maybe FTX first. We'll do FTX first. It actually makes more sense. All right, so then we get to this Washington Post article, and I was just waiting, and I had other things to do. I was busy. But here we go. Headline, Tim Craig, December 10th, 2022, as headline, as Bitcoin plummets, Miami vows to hold on to its crypto dreams. If you look at this, and I'll link it in the video description on YouTube, it talks about, it starts right there, Miami, quote, when Miami Mayor Francis Suarez unveiled an 11-foot, 300-pound fiberglass reproduction of Wall Street Bull last spring, he hailed it as a city's arrival as a quote-unquote capital of crypto. I mean, quote, welcome to the future, unquote, and then it goes on. It's like, now, going forward, quote, but 8 months later, the Republican mayor's dream of turning Miami into a hub of digital currency has hit a speed bump, etc. So it goes on to talk about like how Bitcoin's down, Miami coins pretty much, it's, quote, now essentially worthless, FTX. It talks about all this stuff. Sam Bankman-Fried, all this. And then they have a quote from Billy Corbin, or I guess has been a critic of Mayor Suarez, quote, a bunch of comments selling imaginary coins and magic beans is not that interesting story, unquote. Quote, but the fact is that the government and elected officials were complicit in it and dragged the city in it. Look, the thing is, it's like when you're a public official, and my dad worked for the government, right? And my brother works for the government. Your job is to serve the people, is to take care of people. It's kind of like in some ways, a Hippocratic oath, right? From doctors, first do no harm. I mean, it's not just about who's got money, who's bringing money, and the parties and the glitz and the PR and the narrative and all this. And we had this PR spin of, we had Mayor Suarez on the conference of mayors and hey, political future. Let me tell you something. Who knows? Anything can happen in politics. I'm a political expert. The chance of Mayor Suarez being elected president or doing anything, getting any significant votes in this next 2024 is like super, super tiny. I told you that. And this is going to relate to the Twitter files. That's coming up. What do I mean by that? Okay, so people invested. How many local residents invested in Miami coin? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm asking questions. I'm not stating any facts. I'm just asking questions. How many invested in FTX? FTX was on the Miami Heat arena, I believe. What about that? You called the coin a Miami coin. Where's it at now? So this isn't just, there's winners and losers on these trades. This isn't just costless. This is serious stuff. If you don't know what you're talking about, like you don't see, I'm over here in the greater Tampa Bay area, St. Petersburg area. You don't see Mayor Castor going out there talking like that, or Cantor. So I apologize. Let me look that up. I know I don't want to get that wrong. 1 second. Give me a second. Castor, Mayor Castor, absolutely. And they had I think a blockchain conference over here. I think she showed up, and I don't know. I never met her. I mean, I'm not making any political statements, but she seems cool to me. But I mean, totally different profile, totally different approach. Yeah, like positive, like there's a lot of tech stuff here, but it's not like, I mean, there was such a swag and a swagger down in Miami. Like, we know what's going on. And I talked to people that were close to that whole thing. It's just, I don't know. I mean, no, look, Steve, tech's tough. And, sometimes like .com, like the .com, the .com boom one, there's a lot of fallout from there. Most didn't work, but there's some that really worked. And then it gets ready for the next iteration. I mean, this is a hard deal, but it's one thing to make these crazy claims. And, it just became this out of control hype train that was like, I think built on a very shaky foundation, in my opinion. We're seeing that. And people didn't want to listen to me. They thought I was being negative and all this and that, whatever. And it's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to tell people what's going on because, again, you have to worry about your constituents. You have to think about it. There's a there. But more than that, politicians loving fame, politicians taking credit, politicians having this inflated self-importance potentially. And I'm not alleging anything or making any, but this is not a person. This is just very generic. This isn't about, anyone in particular. There's nothing new about that. But I almost wonder if some of these people were played. And that's where we're going to get into the Twitter files, right? So to some degree, I blame them, but to some degree, there's a larger thing going on there. But let's also talk about FTX. So the danger when you get into, okay, so now we're talking about FTX. So again, 2 years later, how's Miami Tech look now? How many people are coming in here now? How many people are talking about crypto now? How many companies are getting funded now? How's that trade looking now? Capital, crypto. Capital, cool, whatever it is, we're taking over. Okay, how's that looking now? Now, certainly people are here and some will stay. I don't know how many will stay, right? I mean, if it's easy to be here, it's easy to go. I think Florida is setting itself up as a powerhouse. I think, but that I think that's the whole state, right? And I think that's Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, right? And so let's talk about the political angle for a second. We're going to come back to that. This dude put himself against me, or Suarez put himself against Trump and put himself against Governor DeSantis. And talking about running for I think there was one of these interviews on I don't know if it's NBC or something like, is there a Miami brand of republicanism? Oh, maybe there is, or something like that. That's my recollection, personal opinion of the paraphrase. Well, what happened this last election? Miami-Dade went red for DeSantis. And I mean, you're seeing a huge break towards Republicans now with it's the Jeb Bush move. You see, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't want to get into politics too much on this. The whole Steve, I'm going to put it all together. Give me a second. The whole idea that, you're going to move in the middle and just be in the middle and you're too cool for school. And that's where you're going to get all the votes. I mean, yeah, of course you need independence, all that type of stuff. But where things are now, and again, it's a kind of a weird thing. On the one hand, people are super sick of this hyper partisanship. Absolutely. I'm sick of it. I've been sick of it. I've said that for years. Like, it's so crazy. It's out of control. Everything's politics. People are tired of it. Can I just watch a sports game without politics? Can I just watch a movie without politics? Can I just have my kids watch a cartoon without politics? Or my daughter, I don't know, etc. And I've been in politics almost all my life, but it's just like, it's too much. And when politics is everything, then it's too much. But I thought it was like super weird that everyone, like, it was, what was your cause? What's your cause? Hey, what's your cause? And because you've got a great cause, I should fund you. Wait, what about the business? What about the RI? What about we talked about our culture. I saw that. Like, okay, cool. Do you make money? Does your tech improve things? Does it even work? Is it even shipping? Do you even have code? Or are we just sitting around on foosball tables talking about how we're going to be activists and change the world? Like, what are we doing? And that goes to Elon Musk. Elon Musk had a shirt that had the shirt from the Twitter, right? Stay woke. He had a shirt that I think he came up with the quote of "Stay at work." Right. That's Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, let me tell you about Silicon Valley. Let me tell you something. My first year as a lawyer, my first full year, I believe, if I remember correctly, I didn't have one day off in April. I was doing an IPO, if I remember correctly, in my opinion. Like, I worked all the time. That's not unusual. I'm not saying I need in my opinion, at least back at that time, I'm not saying I need a badge of honor. I mean, I wasn't, I'm not mad about it. I'm proud of my work there. I'm proud of the firm. I'm proud. I learned a lot, and it just, and listen, do you think that's any different than the iBankers in Wall Street? Go ask Goldman, associates, or who, name it. Morgan, it doesn't matter. I'm not naming names. I'm not alleging anything. I'm not saying, whatever. It's, 1 second, Steve. We'll get to that. I'm not calling anyone out. It's just your consultants, top 3. What do they call it? The MBB or something like that. Or yeah, I think that's right. They're on the road all the time. They're on the road most of the week. They fly back on the week. Like, it's just like, that's how it is. And again, I'm not saying, young doctors, when you're resident, how look at the on-calls. So we've come to this place where it's like we have magic money. Like, it's different down here in 305. We're just, no, it's not different. Like, the weather's great. That's awesome when it's not raining and stuff like that. But, or maybe in some people don't like the summer. I mean, I was okay with summer, but, hey, we have this new way of doing it. We're all going to be super rich, and we don't have to work. We don't have to show up for work. We don't have to drive to work. We don't like does that make any sense? And you have these people that have no experience in tech, VC, or anything, that were just like leading the charge, potentially right off a cliff. Okay. And now that's just that you look at this article. This article is pretty, it really gets into it. I'll let you be the judge there. But it pretty much is, I don't know. I think it's interesting. How about that? And so they talk about, is it going to come back? Is it not? And, Miami, and then, all this blah, 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 blah. And I mean, I think, and they talk about, how the city, quote, isn't located near an Ivy League school, unquote. And it talks about different things like that. I saw some stuff about like the whole Bored Ape stuff, and there's discussion and potential follow up with that, etc. But you had this whole thing with the FTX, and the stadium was named on the FTX, had the naming rights and all that type of stuff, right? The FTX. So that was like, that became, to some degree, I mean, that, is that emblematic? Is that a symbol of the Miami tech scene? Think about that. I think, and see, here's someone here that was like, now this is someone that's a Miami, someone on the Democratic side, and they had a lot of very negative things to say about Suarez and with the whole Miami court, in my opinion. And so, look, I think the point is that this stuff is hard. It's not easy. It takes a lot of thought process on it. And if you when do you think you're smarter than these people that are creating these things? You know what I'm saying? SBF's parents were like Stanford professors and stuff. This guy's, I mean, you know what I mean? Like you think you've got it more figured out than, I'm not saying that it's just, but maybe you have someone, when you start bringing in these people with big money and they're from MIT, Stanford, Harvard, Berkeley, this, that, whatever, maybe, you're going to outsmart, how am I going to say? I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this right. Chances are, in aggregate, right, they may be a little more experienced than you. They may be a little smarter than you. They may have things a little bit more figured out in their world than you do, right? And I don't know, Steve. There's a lot of stuff going on, and so there was so many different weak points that went along with this. And again, how many people got hurt from the whole thing with FTX? And now there's discussion about what's going to happen with the name and the arena and et cetera like that. And there's just a lot of discussion with FTX. I mean, you look at what happened, and James Katoulis, who did stuff with and full disclosure, I mean, I would consider him an acquaintance, friendly acquaintance, absolutely right, or maybe even a friend. I don't want to oversell it or anything like that, but James has been one of my videos, and we've shared some texts here and there. He's been very gracious to me, and I've been to one of his events and stuff, and I mean, he really went and tried to help people out with the whole Madoff thing, and he's done great work with that, in my opinion. And he had a video up about the whole FTX thing and stuff, and I would consider him definitely an expert in these kinds of things. But I'm sure it's pretty murky. Think about how many people got hurt with this. It's not all upside. If you take the credit, you have to take the blame. If you take the upside, you have to also own the downside. So where are all the promoters now? Where's all the happy hours now? Where's all the selfies now? The planting the flags now? Where's that? I mean, people have to step up. If you are a leader, you need to be responsible. So, that doesn't, a lot of this stuff is difficult, and a lot of this stuff is risky. I understand that. I have no problem with risk, but what I don't like is when there is you've got to do the due diligence. Again, I'm not giving anybody advice. Everything you do is your own risk. But I don't like the potential, the feeling that there's a thumb on the scale. There's a cool kids club and stuff like that. So there's that. There's a lot of, and that's a whole separate discussion. And I don't even want to get too into that. But I just want to highlight that it's not all upside. You're dealing with people's life savings in some cases, the livelihoods. But in the mix of all that, when you bring in all this money and stuff, there was articles about hey, I can't get my kids into private schools anymore because this big money came in, the slots are taken up or whatever, or hey, I can't afford my rent anymore. I talked to Lauren Coffey on one of my shows here at Tampa Bay, and stuff like that. In Tampa Bay, I think she said that, if I remember correctly, her rent went up significantly. And I mean, Umer, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Umer, and this guy, I would consider this guy an expert at what's going on in the Miamitech scene. I would consider him an expert. I mean, Umer, you got to tell me, first of all, let me know if you want to jump on the show, but am I on target here? Am I on target here, brother? Am I saying, I'm trying to lay it, because this is pretty complicated, and I'm trying to unravel it all. I'm trying to keep this show to an hour and put it all together here. But here's how it all relates, and I'll take a step back and let you say what you want to say here. And you can send it to me or in the chat, and I can see it, but don't have to necessarily put it on if you want to send something to me sort of semi-privately, if you will. If you look at the Twitter files, in my opinion, have been saying what I've been saying for a long time, what I went through potentially, in my opinion. Okay. I've been through heck as a conservative / libertarian, almost libertarian, whatever like that. I've been through all of it. There's things that happened to me like a while ago, a long time ago, right? I mean, long time ago, over a decade ago, that if I would have told people even 5 years ago, they were like, you're crazy, John. You're crazy, John. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Umar. I try to tell people because it's real. It's your life. It's your education. It's your money. If you like, you take a dude like Umar, great dude. If I can riff on you for a second, use as an example. This dude was in, if I remember right, real estate and said, hey, you know what? I'm excited. I love it. And knew some people. And he's like, he went all in and took a class and stuff and said, I'm going to get into this whole blockchain world, whatever like that. You're talking about, and that's probably, how many people did that? How many people may have invested that were in there? How many people had to deal with this? Think about if you're just retired in the 305 or 954 or 561, and all of a sudden, boom, your property tax went through the roof. Your rent went through the roof. And you're a lifelong resident. So what are these leaders doing to you? Think about that. But I don't, again, I'm not trying to play the emotion. This is real. Right? I've got 3 degrees after my name. Actually, more if I wanted to throw, my undergrad on there, whatever. And they're serious. And I worked hard for them at the top universities, some of the top universities in the world. And I'm sure there's people that are more papered up than me, but there's not a lot. And I have a lot of experience, and I am a super genius, et cetera, et cetera. I've proven that. If people thought I was, whatever, see that video. It's all real. People don't like my mouth. Oh, this guy talks. In my opinion, the claims I make, most of them, this major ones, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I don't, okay, but I'm a really honest person. And people, I got haters because I back up what I say. So it's extremely hard to find someone like me. If I walk in somewhere, I'm doing something, or I'm working with someone, or I'm consulting with someone, guess what? If I leave, there's not another John Villarreal coming. You'll never, ever find someone like me. So when these dudes, people, and I'd say people generally, the generic dudes, men, women, people, everybody didn't want to work with me. Some did, some were cool, and we're cool. Some were cool. And I keep it on the DL because I just, I'll take the heat, right? When some of the leaders, then I knew what it didn't take me long. I'm very quick to figure it out. It didn't take me long to know what it was. Yeah, it's a hype train, dude. This was a hype train, but it was worse than that. It was so much worse than that, in my opinion. Here's why. Twitter files. Okay. So Florida was like a purple state that's becoming red. Now it's become, I think, clearly red. So there's the hype and the smoke and the BS, the hype and the smoke that, has come due, and I told you so, right? There's that. The hubris, this and that, the selfies. I got some like third-rate academics flexing on me like they know what. They're super entrepreneurs and super VCs, and what are you doing? You think you're on the red carpet? Like what? Where's the red carpet in Palo Alto? There is none. There's no red carpet in Foster City, Redwood City, San Jose. What are you doing? You're clowns. You may have more money than me, you're more famous than me, but in terms of tech and in terms of actually doing something that's real, I'm super skeptical. You may be around people that are real. Dillian Asparov, super real. A lot of other people, super real. But these people, hey, Art Basel, yeah. Hey, NFT. Stop. Guess what? Hey, John. Hey, I sold a car on the. Hold on a second. I need a visual on this. Hold on a second. Give me a second. I'm gonna do something here. Just pretend this is like an ocular or visor or something. Hey, I'm selling a car. I'm on the metaverse. I'm selling a car. I'm selling lemonade in the metaverse. Hey, how long did it take you to sell lemonade in the metaverse? Wait. Oh, I tripped over something. I don't know. Now I'm building blocks. Is this Roblox? What am I doing? Yeah, we had the entire company shut down. We had the entire company shut down for 3 days so we can sell a glass of lemonade in the metaverse. We're cutting edge. It's gonna be, so what's the ROI on that? How many people are lining up to buy lemonade in the metaverse? Oh my goodness. It's like Elon Musk said, where's the metaverse? I can't find it, or whatever. Where's Web3? I can't find it. That doesn't mean that some of these things aren't worth investigating, isn't hard, aren't maybe down the road or whatever like that. But it's just when you're all in on that, and it's real money, and it's people's lives, and they're making decisions, and people are moving, and they're moving. I mean, listen, this is serious. It's the same thing. Like when the price of energy and the price of gas is through the roof, that's pretty serious. That affects people. It's not just an academic paper. It's not just hypothetical. That's pretty serious. Okay, great. So I've said enough about that. So let's bookmark this because we're getting right into the Twitter files. And it's all going to make sense. This is like The Sixth Sense or something like that. Like the end of the movie makes the whole rest of the movie make sense, in my opinion. So we had Miamitech promoted by, like people that didn't have super duper experience, let's say gold standard experience potentially in Silicon Valley tech and VC and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure some did, or there's some whatever, but I mean, led by politicians and third-rate academics and stuff. It just was weird. It just seemed really weird. And pitch competitions in nightclubs. And so it's like, oh man, okay. So you had that. Then it was the headline show at Miamitech was crypto. That seemed a little dicey. That seemed a little. I said many times, look at the videos. I was very cautious about that. I didn't like that. I'm like, I don't know about that. Blockchain, I like blockchain. Crypto, I'm very skeptical. And again, that's borne out. So I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. People, I remember meeting with this, and I got to be very careful. So I don't want to be that's some multiple different things. I mean, I remember talking to people that I could tell when I was talking with them, they thought they were smarter than me. And I'm like, that's not a good bet. That's a bad bet. And this is not a flex, but it's like, dude, when I'm talking to someone maybe half my age, doesn't have anywhere near the credentials, maybe they got some job. Guess what? I was that dude like 30 years ago. Is that right? Nah, not quite. But let's say, 20 plus years ago. I was that person then too. So you're great, but you might not be as special as you think. And only actually had a better job, but it's okay. And well, I guess you could argue that either way. That's fine. Let's not. And I'm like, hey, what about X, Y, and Z? And then the thing I was talking about, they had like, I know, I'll be careful. I feel like I've got a lot of experience. Okay. And they said something. I'm not going to lay that just, I knew right then and there that in my opinion, no way. This person doesn't know what they're talking about. And they're naive and stuff like that. I was like, hey, why can't I do, whatever? And anyway, I don't even want to get into it, but it's like, man, this is what this is. It's what's that saying? Birds of a feather, right? And it's like, I just felt the hubris, naivete, whatever, but we're going full steam ahead and we think we got it all figured out. And I'm like, that's Miamitech. That's Miamitech. It felt like an insider game led by people that had basically no clue on that. They may be awesome at a lot of other stuff. I'm sure they're great at stuff I have no idea about. I don't know a lot about real estate. I'll tell you right now, I did pretty good at mine. I mean, I know people that are really good at it. I think I could learn it. My granddad did a lot of stuff and did well, but I mean, I don't put myself out there as an expert in real estate. I'm not an expert on a lot of things, but I am an expert on a lot of things, in my opinion. And if you don't know what you don't know and you're not willing to work with other people that do know, that's a dangerous thing. Okay, so enough about that. So that's Miamitech. Then FTX. So we have Miamitech, which was a smoke train a lot of times. I mean, there are things, listen, it's moved forward. They've made stuff, and there's some great people. There's the president of Miami-Dade College. I think she's great. She's really cool, in my opinion. Not that I'm like whatever, but I met her, and I'm not, I'm not here to, she probably barely remembers me, whatever. But I think, there's some people that are really working hard and trying to do a great job as public leaders out there and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great people out there. There's some people that are, again, I don't want to, I'll take the heat. I don't want to put anyone, but I've talked with some people. I had some people that had some good Zoom conversations. Maybe we had different politics, and maybe they're in the cool kids, Miami scene, and I maybe was kind of at the periphery or whatever. So I don't want to, so there's some people that are very cool and have come from some great schools, and it's not all about schools, but I mean, that's a factor. And there's some people that I think are really cool. I think, I had a number of conversations with some, I would say, I'll just be, pretty generic about it, but I would say some people associated with some heavy funds that were cool. I had I talked to some great people out there that have been with some great brands and some other great brands and I'll just, a whole range of people, very diverse set of folks that were very cool. And then there's some that just thought they were too cool for school. So that was that. But then you have the crypto thing. Then you have the FTX thing. And so what FTX does is it says, okay, this was the symbol of Miamitech. But it also was such a huge collapse that it's just taken down. I mean, anything. I mean, you look at not any, again, I haven't looked at anything speculating, but I mean, to me, that's a symbol of what happens when the hype train comes down and how people can get crushed. And people said the same thing with the whole meme stocks and the game stonks and all that type of stuff. Like, okay, when the party's over or whatever, I mean, again, I'm not alleging anything. I'm not making any advice, giving any advice, et cetera, stuff like that. But I mean, it's, you're talking about real, people's real money, right? So if you don't, it's risky. This is risky. It's, the whole, anyway, everyone has to deal with their own risk. But then the third piece that we're going to put in place right now is the whole deal with the Twitter files. So John, how's that even relate? What are you talking about? That's like, this is tech, and then that's crypto and politics. Oh yeah. Remember how many times I told you it was like so weird? Everyone's talking about their cause. And it's really been it's been a thing, but it's been like a crazy heavy thing, in my opinion, for like at least since I did like America's Venture Capital back in like DC, Baltimore area, greater, DC area. And I kept, it was very strong the last like couple years, definitely through the pandemic and stuff at Miamitech. And I'm like, what is this? And how does that square with the rationale of coming to Florida? The basic rationale of coming to Florida is, hey, guess what? If you're working from home, you can work anywhere. Hey, if you're going to work anywhere, you might as well work somewhere cool and warm. Hey, guess what? Florida's open for business. That's it. That's there you go. That's your rationale, right? Because there can be people going to Aruba, people going to Hawaii, people going all kinds of different places, right? Dubai, a lot of action, a lot of people went to Dubai, in my opinion. So it wasn't, yeah. And I will give the Miami Tech, hype people, leaders, whatever, credit that they did a really good job of leveraging that PR and writing that. But the thing is I think they got, it's like in professional wrestling, they would say living the gimmick, right? I think and I'm not saying it's a gimmick, but that's a term of art from wrestling. Whereas like they kind of believe their own press that they were really great. It was almost like they thought they were the VCs of the entrepreneurs, and like they were like Elon Musk. No, you're not. Elon Musk built like amazing companies, right? Like Mayor Suarez won an election with like 20 not that many votes. Okay. It was like, in my opinion, right? I mean, it's like, I can't remember. It was like 27,000. That's great. I mean, he won. Great, congratulations. Fantastic. But you can see people all of a sudden like moving out of that ecosystem and doing other things. And it would always seem like everybody, they were sitting on all these different, everybody knew everybody, and they were sitting, they had like wearing a number of them wearing 2 or 3 hats. Like, they were right for this place. And then they were on this, like thing over here. Then it was all, and they're all like kind of talking and writing about each other. It's just same articles, and everything was repurposed. And it was just like, it just seemed way too clubby to me. And for a big city, it just felt really like a super small town, if that makes sense. Okay. So then FTX, I think, is a symbol of just how bad it can all go bad, in terms of market size and all that type of stuff. And then, and I heard Anthony Scaramucci, of all people, on Judge Jeanine's show and stuff like that. And it kind of like, he had like talking points. He's been very successful in what he's done and whatever. And it just seemed like, well, I relied on other people's due diligence. Like, dude, like someone else. It's like, and again, it's all in hindsight, but it's like, I think, and I'm not alleging anything, but I mean, like someone else said this too. I forget who it was. Like, well, I don't want to be a talk show host and kind of take a cheap shot, but I mean, who did serious diligence on this? Like, you had a bunch of young adults over in the Bahamas. Like, where was PricewaterhouseCoopers? Where's the audited firms? Where was the serious CFO? Like, where did you look at the books? Like, I mean, did anyone know what was really going on? How much serious heavy? I mean, maybe you did. And I know Sequoia, a fantastic world-class firm. I mean, I'm not here to diss anyone. And I'm not here to say I haven't made mistakes and made bad calls or bad investments or anything like that. But I mean, it's like sometimes, and I love Silicon Valley and the same thing. Well, sometimes it just gets too inside baseball. You get me? And I think, Theranos is another one that I think that may have happened there. And so, yeah, thanks. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Okay. So, but let's relate it to, because here's where this is where it all comes together. If you watch nothing else in this video, you need to see this, and I'll try to time code this, I guess. I don't know if I can do it online. The Twitter files. This is how it all kind of relates, right? And this is where it all makes sense to me. Look, people are wrong. Politicians do what politicians do. Some things happen. We've seen this before. This is, unfortunately, this wasn't the first. Unfortunately, it may not be the last. We've seen, Madoff. We've seen MF Global. We've seen Enron. Now this FTX. Okay. And there's nothing writ large wrong about, people having pride in where they live and work and wanting to see their area do well and wanting to promote it and wanting to get involved in tech and wanting to do better for their constituents and all. That's all cool. But it should have been done better. I think it could have been done a lot better. And I think the whole crypto thing and lean on that was super risky. And I think that's played out. But where it takes a different step, and I felt it, and I was trying to articulate this, and I had articulated over and over in different videos, but I couldn't fully lay it out. Well, it is exactly what I said, in my opinion, but it's even worse, right? And that the Twitter files show is that, and I had experienced this, and I kind of, and some people that know me, I mean, I kind of kept it on the DL and stuff, and I really, you can't prove, it's like proving a negative. I can't prove this, But I mean, I'm pretty good at media, right? And I may be getting back on the broadcast here soon. I'm in talks with some different. I'm not going to say too much with some pretty significant stations, in my opinion. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it has to work in worth work. It has to, I've got to figure it out, and I got to figure out how I'm going to do everything, as I'm already, redline and stuff in terms of, just taking on a lot of stuff, but it's cool and it's working out. And I'm thankful for everything. I'm thankful for the opportunities, but here's where it kind of all comes together. I really believe, well, let me rephrase that. It would not surprise me if things were not political in big tech and Silicon Valley and stuff like that. If I'd be either retired and or famous by now. I'm known, like, a lot of famous people know me, but like really big. And I've seen some things like, and I know some things. I'm not going to get into everything here because there's a lot if I wanted to write a book, oh man, I could write a couple books, and I might, we'll see. I don't know. But I'm generally like a cool, I like to be cool with everybody. So what the Twitter files illustrates, in my opinion, is that there was insane. Well, let me put it another way. Anyone that says that there wasn't a left-wing bias in tech, stop. Social media, stop. I know it. I've seen it. I went to school with people. Dude, I mean, I had people that were telling me that I was never going to work. I mean, in my opinion, if I remember right, it's a long time ago, not alleging anything, not saying anything specific, but I mean, I used to get all kinds of heat and hate and etc. I went through the hot fires and coals. People talk about this person, that person. It's like, dude, okay. Ben Shapiro. Oh, nothing against Ben Shapiro. That's great. Whatever. Dude, Ben Shapiro wasn't around when I was going through it. I can tell you that. It wasn't in the mix. Okay. That's great. More power to everybody. Nothing against anybody. But it's like the sad part of it is there's people that were fighting battles for freedom, liberty, and opportunity that are unheralded, that don't have millions of dollars, that have gotten crushed. You look around the world, you look at what's going on right now. What the Twitter files is an absolute wake-up call. It's an absolute, and Elon Musk is doing people such a huge public service right now. There is no debate anymore. Okay, so it's a few things that go on. Before I get into that, because that's its own thing, and I'll close with that. We'll wind it down here in about 15 minutes. There's so much to go over here, and we need to talk about. What the Twitter file shows is there was, in my opinion, from what I've seen, and I haven't seen everything, but just what I've seen, heavy bias. Okay. So the whole Twitterverse. So again, you go to Suarez, and we'll make that. Well, I got to lay a little bit more foundation here, because here's how it's going to relate. Heavy bias. It was like an alternate universe, like someone said. That's right. It wasn't fake. So things were trending that should never have trended. Things were pushed. I remember going to this YouTube thing, and listen, I mean, I have a little bit of I don't want to. Oh, I gotta be careful what I say. I think I don't know. I don't even know how I want to say this. Like, I'm not even sure what to make of my relationship with YouTube. I'll say it like that. And I've done really well on YouTube. I've got over, I think, 62 million views and stuff like that. But there's times where, like, man, I don't know why I'm not getting more views and stuff like that. And I'm not alleging anything. I'm not saying anything. But then I've gone to some events. I knew I was never going to get, me and my brother talking about like the starter. I don't think I was going to get promoted. I remember going to this event where a lot of big, I'm not going to get specific about it. Not now anyway. A lot of big YouTubers are at it. And they had this panel, and this was earlier days. And I remember some of these people on the panel, like, this kid started like, what do they know about media or broadcast? And they were getting like, and I didn't see anybody up on that panel that was anything close to what I don't know, but just from hearing what I was hearing, even center, let alone center right or anything like that. Right. And okay, people were polite to me. People were nice to me. It was good to be there. The YouTube people that I've directly interacted with, even higher level people, whatever. And again, I happen to, again, it's been a long time, stuff like that. But, I knew people that were on the board and stuff like that. And I'm, it's not like I get a Christmas card or they would, maybe even pick me out of a crowd of people at this point, I'm sure. But, and, so they were nice to me, but at the same time, I felt like I was like the, odd person out. Right. I didn't like, people were nice to me. We were hanging out. Like I wasn't part of the club. I was there. I was in the club, but I wasn't like part of the club. Does that make sense? I was at the club, but I wasn't part of the club. And I'm like, okay. Right. And I was like, at that time, it was on a skyrocket. And at some point, just boom, just plummeted. Like it just went. That's why I got into the whole car business stuff like that, because I was going full blast. I was exploding. I was growing like just so fast. And then it just bam, hard, like just shut down. I can show the graph. I mean, I don't, I could, well, other people show their graphs, but I mean, if I could, I don't know I do everything right, but I can see the graph, in my opinion, if I'm remembering correctly. And I have all kinds of other stories and stuff. I've known what it was, but it's weird. Like occasionally they'll reach out to me, and occasionally, or I'll do, or not like there'll be an opportunity and I'll go to something, or I might email, or they're doing something for creators, and then I talk to someone, and when I do, they're cool, and I think some people appreciate what we do, and it's like, I don't know if it's because I do a lot of different things. Like politics is just like a small part of it. I used to do a lot more politics, and now it's like, now if I'm doing a talk show on the radio, then yeah, okay, like news talk is my top format. I can do almost anything, but like if I'm doing that, then I'll bring in the politics stuff. But I mean, on a day-to-day basis, it's cars. Look at my YouTube channel, it's all kinds of stuff, and I probably have something for almost everybody, right? And so, but at the same time, like I knew I wasn't going to get pushed. So here I am in this panel, and this people are. It's like, and like a lot of those people in that panel aren't even around anymore, right? Now some are doing great. But, and there's multiple panels, obviously, but, yeah, I mean, I knew that that was over a decade ago. So I've known what it is. And so this is what I'm talking about with Miamitech. I have deep institutional knowledge of all of this, not all of it, but a lot of that's okay. That's too strong. Let me revise and extend. A lot of stuff that, someone that's 1 year out, 2 years out of FAU has no idea about trying to get into tech. That Mayor Suarez and his team has no idea about because they've never been through it. You know what I'm saying? Etc. I've been there. I have the receipts. I know what's up. And here's the thing with the Twitter files. So if you look at so there's two main things, and I want to wind it down, and we can talk about it because I shoved 3 massive topics, detailed topics, and like years worth of stuff into like one show. But this is important. What the Twitter files show is this was very big. It was definitely happening. And it shows on the one hand, heavy bias, in my opinion. On the other hand, like someone made this comment. I forget who it is. I'd love to give the quote. I want to say, I don't know if it's Clay or Buck. Oh man, Clay and Buck. I want to give credit. And I don't know who said this, but it's something like Elon Musk proved that you could get rid of basically, maybe it was Sean Hannity. Maybe Sean Hannity. You can get rid of 80%, 75, 80%, whatever it is, a big percentage of the Twitter workforce, and the engagement is up. So what were those people doing? Maybe it's Tucker. Tucker had something on his show. I don't know. It's people. So credit to somebody there, or all of them. what does that tell you? So this goes back to the whole cause, my cause. And like someone else said this, Joe Rogan was saying this. He knows some people, some higher ups at Google or something like that. I think he said that. And it's like, yeah, he talks to these people like they're activists. They think they're activists. Like their whole job is being an activist, right? Instead of actually doing tech and actually doing work. And he's like, you know, that I have to tell these people, your job is to code. Like it's right. So to me, I can get into more detail, but let me just highlight it. It really seems like there was this takeover. Again, tech was in San Francisco, Bay Area. It was a very liberal place anyway. And then of course, Berkeley, super liberal, Stanford. When I was a long time ago, nominally like moderate conservative, but then that, became liberal too, in my opinion. And, it's like all the money and the action and the fame was in tech. And it's like what Margaret Thatcher used to say. And it clicked to me when I was driving to work. It's like, socialism is great till you run out of other people's money. So like all these activists, they've split to where the money is and the power and the tech and this and all that type of stuff. So this was a way to influence people, right? It's just like people talk about, how some of the polls might be biased and the media is biased and all that type of stuff. It's the same kind of conversations. Okay. So then you have that situation. If it's at Twitter, where else is it? Right? What about Facebook? What about et cetera, et cetera? And now I'm not dissing when I'm on, we're on YouTube now and which is, a part of Google and Facebook, and we're happy to be broadcasting live all over the place. But, if you can't say you're all for democracy and stuff. You're not for freedom of speech. You got to have free speech. You have to have people be able to talk. And if you're not letting the market decide what's best and you're deciding what's best, then you may not get the best. You're probably not going to get the best, right? You got to let people decide. You got to let the market work. You can't be just trying to elevate some people that you like and shut down people that you don't like. Like that's not tech. That's not real broadcast media. That's not democracy. That's something else. Call it whatever name you want to call it. That's something else. But in this milieu, what was being brought into Miamitech? First of all, you look at Mayor Suarez. Let me look right now. I mean, what is Mayor Suarez's top social media platform? Where does Mayor Suarez have the most followers? Most followers. You want to guess? Let's guess. Where does Mayor Suarez have the most followers? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've not looked at all this stuff, but on Twitter, he's got 137.6 thousand followers. That seems like a lot to me. That's a lot, right? So, we saw the Twitter files. And we've seen that like it's heavy left. And then you go to YouTube, Mayor Francis Suarez, 1,400 1.14K subscribers. So that's 1,410 subscribers or thereabouts. That's weird. Cafecito Talk 2 days ago, 71 views. Art Basel recap 4 days ago, 42 views. So you mean to tell me that this platform that has been now in the news, Twitter, as being heavily left, and you talk about, all the executives that left and some of the controversies potentially allegedly with different, I don't know. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to allege anything. These are public figures in my opinion. And this is my opinion only. I'm not allegedly, but you're telling me that the Twitter files scandal potentially has erupted and Mayor Suarez's top platform in social media is Twitter. And we're talking about promotion and shadow banning and all this type of stuff. So, and you're talking about a politician in Mayor Suarez that came out against Donald Trump, in my opinion, and came out against Governor DeSantis. So weird. Kind of reminds me how the media really liked, different politicians on the right that kind of criticize the right, and And all of a sudden they get on the Sunday talk shows and people, and they get in the New York Times and stuff. It's like, are you being played? Like, you think you're sorry? Are you being played, or are you being willingly played? So again, if you're pushing this tech thing with maybe not as much diligence as we could have had, right? And again, that's how, FTX and all these other things go in there, and tech is heavily left, and you're selling Florida. But Florida could be different and should be different, and Florida's shifting heavy red, but hey, come on in. Let's go tech. And I mean, and it's heavy left. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing to your constituents? How is that going to win you anything on the Republican side? And now it's all come, and this is, and a lot of people said this, and I'm going to close on this. So it all is exactly what I was trying to say. Politically, I knew we were going to be in this spot because I knew what it was, in my opinion. I think Mayor Suarez and his team and I think, and listen, I know people that are really cool on his team, and I met him, I took pictures and everything, and I'm not here to diss anybody, and I'm nobody. I just happen to know a lot of people, know a lot of things, right? But I think there's a lot of arrogance and hubris there. We got it all figured out, whatever. And the people that they were promoting, again, I'm not going to name names because, they were cool to me. I mean, again, I'm sure people behind my back, but at least they were polite to my face, right? And that's all you can really ask. I mean, that's not all, but that's something, right? And I honor and respect that. And it's like, dude, these people are like, oh yeah, it's a bunch of Trump bros there, meaning like in the Suarez circle, stuff like that. So it's like, how do these people even feel about each other? It's like, it's almost like and this is a lot around, money and politics and stuff like that. It's not like it's anything unusual here, but it's almost like a mutual using society kind of, or acquaintances of convenience or something. I don't know what you want to say. But in a day and age where people want authenticity and realism, it just didn't feel real authentic. And it didn't make any sense. And I think that's borne out. But here's where, and Leader McCarthy, maybe soon to be Speaker McCarthy has talked about this, and others have talked about this, if I remember correctly. Now, and other commentators talk about it. This is where the Republican Party, this is where people, this is where voters, this is where really politicians, we all have to make it, citizens, people have to make a decision. Like, is this what we want? This is, people talk on social media like, if someone else can tell you who you can hear, what you can hear, who you can listen to, whatever, that's and government's involved. There's so many questions now. There's a lot of questions now. There's no conspiracy. This is what's in the news. This is what's been revealed. This is not like just don't believe me. Go out there and look at it. And is social media picking winners and losers? How can you trust? Let me put it let me phrase in a question. Can you trust what's trending out there? Can you trust who has views, who's popular and stuff? It makes me wonder, like, geez, what could have been, maybe I could have been huge, but then, then you see some people that have tremendous amounts of views, and I don't think they fit into a left wing. I don't think the people, I don't think the left wing people wherever, Twitter or other places would have, been fans of them. So, I don't know, who knows? But I think that it's not like, it's kind of like, I don't know what the analogy is. I mean, any kind of bias is not good. These are public forums, public squares. Any amount of bias is not good. And so if you didn't know this was going on, you should have known. If you didn't, and if you should have listened to other people, and you should have slowed down and understand that there's more to this. It's not just about money. It's not just about headlines. This is something that is just, we have to make a decision to treat each other fairly, to have a fair, level playing field, to have an open public forum and public discourse. It's no different than the telephone. It's no different than anything else. And if this is happening at Twitter, where else is it potentially happening to? And why does it matter whoever else tweets? I mean, it's just like, you know, someone can tell me, someone could stand right next to me. 5 people can be right next to me saying, hey, 2 + 2 is 5. It's not going to bother me. I know it's not going to make me think it's 5, because it's not. So I'd be very cautious of people who are trying to control who you can hear, what you can say, speech, all that type of stuff. You know, again, within the bounds of what is reasonable, you know, and deemed constitutionally appropriate and legal, etc. And this is no joke. So now that we know this, now that it's out there, now that it's publicly known, definitively, right? In my opinion, not like, oh, you know, and again, how many politicians knew this or may have known or should have known this, right? And so now is a time for, again, both parties, everyone, but certainly people on the Republican side, like, if you're going to ask for, you know, if you're going to stand up there and make all these speeches and everything like that, like, you need to now be heard and be accounted. Like, you need to stand up for this. We need to hear from you. We need to see some leadership on this. We need to, you know, people, I think we're at a time where people have to decide, you know, what they want, you know, and stand, and they need to stand and be accounted for. This is it. If you think you're a leader for 2024, if you think you're going to run for president, if you think you're going to be a leader of the Republican Party, you think you're going to be a great senator or a congressperson or whatever like that, then you know, you need to weigh in on this issue, because it's a crucial issue. You know, are we a free country? You know, or do we have freedom of speech, true freedom of speech, or not? And that's a scary thought if it's the or not. And I think that it's been a crazy few years, and we need to kind of, like, you know, have a collective discussion, maybe recalibrate, you know, and think about what makes this country great. What makes this country great is how we have self-governance in the Constitution, and that, you know, and the plaque on the Statue of Liberty, and, you know, and you know, all of it, right? But all of it doesn't work if we're not free. I'm all for freedom, liberty, and opportunity, and equality for everybody. And if you're going to be a leader, you need to stand up for that. That's my 2 cents. So it all relates. I did tell you so. It all comes together. I know it took a little bit there. I hope it all made sense, but it had to lay it out. It's deep, but it's been unearthed, and I appreciate what Elon's doing. And there's a lot of other voices out there, whether it's Joe Rogan or Patrick Bet-David, or just a lot of people that are saying stuff, and I had to say something. So I hope that makes sense. I'm an optimist. I'm an eternal optimist, and I love everybody. And I think that, you know, here's the thing. If you think your ideas are best and great and this and that, whatever, then what are you afraid of? Like, we all need to work together. You know, you should be able to persuade people, not force people. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like let people laugh if they want to hear whatever it is. Like, hey, I like this music, or no, I like that music, or this thing's funny, or whatever. It's just let people decide. Let the market decide. It's one thing to have an algorithm and based on engagement. It's another thing when you're like, you know, shadow banning or promoting or trending, or you can't trend, or it's like, come on, that's craziness. That's just craziness. So, in my opinion. So there you go. Miamitech, FTX, Twitter files. We covered it all in less than an hour and a half. That could have been a 4-hour show. Easy. Love to hear your comments. Let me know what you think. We'll probably revisit some of these topics in the future, but I definitely had to, talk about it. So there we go. All right. You guys have a great, wonderful evening. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend and have a great week. I'm John D. Villarreal. I'll talk to you next time.